everybody. How you doing? Happy Wednesday. I'm excited. I'm always excited every Wednesday, especially when I have these amazing guests that I can't wait for you to meet this one. But before I go any further, let me ask you this. I'm always asking my questions at the beginning. Are you one of those people on Monday, you're like, it's Monday, you get in your desk and you're like, is this it? Or better yet, are you one of those individuals that you want more? You feel it, but you don't know where to start, where to go to, or where to start? Or better yet, let me ask you this. Are you one of those people like, if I hit the lottery? Are you always one of those people, if I hit the lottery? Are you one of those? But knowing you don't even play the lottery, okay, you guys, we need to stop. And this is the perfect place to do that. You know why? Because we have a support system that can help you go after your what's next. That's why we created She Shift. So get your pen, your paper, your girlfriends, and everybody else, and let's sit down as I bring on who I have. But before I bring her on real quick, today's show is sponsored by Vision Made Magazine. Vision Made Magazine is a quarterly magazine. It is lifestyle. It's about lifestyle. It's about empowerment. And it's written by not only by yours truly, but there's also women around the world that are part of the contributing writers. Some of the stories you'll see in there, they talk about their lifestyle. They talk about mindset. They talk about health. But more so, all of this magazine is focused on for women over 45 who are sitting in the corporate world, again, ready to do their shift. But they can't sometimes listen to the podcast, and so they have the magazine. So if you're interested in becoming a sponsor for Vision Made Magazine, text me at 614-674-0074 and put sponsor. If you would like to get a copy of Vision Made Magazine, guess what I'm doing? Look, don't tell my coach, okay? And I know she doesn't jump on this early, so we're good. But if you're interested in getting a free digital copy of the magazine, text me at 614-674-0074 and put magazine, and I'll get you a free digital copy. But remember, it's between you and I. So let me bring on our amazing next guest, and she is going to rock your world. We're back in the green room just a chit-chatting. So let me bring her on. Hey, Miss Carol, how are you?
I'm excellent. I was just getting ready to stream it to my audience. I forgot to set that up. We could be exposing you to a lot more people.
Woo, I'm excited.
I am excellent. I'm listening to you talk at the beginning, and you know what's going through my mind?
What's that?
Hope is not a strategy.
Say it again.
Hope is not a strategy.
That's right. I need for everyone to hear this. I just said that when we were talking at the beginning, and when I even said in the intro, do you know how many of my team members like, if I hit the lotto, okay, if you hit it, that's cool, but how many of you play it? Okay, those that said they hit it, none of them play. Sorry, lady.
Hope is not a strategy, and oftentimes I find with the women that I work with, and had a speaking engagement earlier today, and I looked them in the eye and I said, confidence is not a feeling. They're like, they said, I don't feel confident. I said, well, it's not a feeling. They're like, what? Confidence is a decision to act. That's because right. you can act your way into feeling, but you're not going to feel your way into acting.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's right.
And most people don't understand that.
I agree, but you know what? Look, before we look, here I go. I'm getting ready to jump the cart before the horse. Miss Carol, yeah, but then they won't know. We're just a chit-chat, and we know each other, but they don't know who you are. So can you tell everybody a little bit about who you are?
I am an LSU Fighting Tiger. Go Tigers. Very blessed to go there on a tennis scholarship. That's a phenomenal story of how I trusted in someone else's vision until I could believe it for myself, because I didn't start playing until I was 15. But I played collegiately, then I played professionally, then I spent 26 years as a sales expert for Fortune 100 companies until God closed all those doors. That's a story, how I got here. Because honestly, I was a weird salesperson in corporate America. I loved large corporate structure, and I'm a rule follower. I didn't know that was in my code, but if you look at my first letter of my code blueprint, they follow the rules and they want everybody else to follow the rules. They stay inside the box. So I really did not I didn't want to leave. I got blindsided.
Mm,
And it wasn't till December 2017 that I really committed all in to having my own business. And at that time, even though I had lost my job, I spent my entire 401k looking for a job. Girl, I was flown all over this country over and over and over to crickets.
wow.
Faith is my foundation, and that's where I go. And I'm yelling basically at God in my prayer time one day. I'm like, look, you created me. You know I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Could you please help me find a good job? 2 weeks to the day from that prayer, out of the blue, I get an email from a woman I met one time out of town at a conference. She and I maybe talked 30 minutes at that conference.
Yes.
She gifted me a $3,500 ticket to go to Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah, to go to Guerrilla Business School. So I said, oh, my God has a sense of humor, because Guerrilla Business School was a how to find out about entrepreneurship. I'm like, oh God, right?
Yeah.
I figured I don't know what I don't know. So off I went. And the first thing I learned is going to be the title of my next book. And it's, you can't read the label when you're inside the jar.
Ooh.
And we're all in a jar. That's why everybody gets to have a good coach, right?
Yes.
Because I tell people, I can read your label and I can help you write a new label. So you can throw an anchor into your future and let go of that story that's got you in the past.
And we need that. How many women, and we just talked about it, how many women are sitting in their job right now? I mean, the podcast is all listened all around the world. They're sitting at their desk like, oh my God, she is singing to me. Because they're like looking around. I mean, literally looking around like, okay, this just simply, and I know it's just not me that was sitting around, that this just simply cannot be it. This simply cannot be. And to know that you can go go inside my jar to help me figure out how to come out, it's a blessing in its own in its own words. But let me ask you this before we go into that further. When you were working in corporate, did any part of corporate even prepared you for this?
Heavens, no. Listen, what happened was, real quick, let's go back to the summer of 2014. There I was sitting in my chair, walked the stages, got the awards, 26 years, sold $70 million in revenue. I thought, I could do this in my sleep. I got it made.
Yes.
Until the day I got that phone call. And they told me they were cutting my territory by 80%. And I said, 80%? I've been building this territory for 6.5 years. Now, I did not want to leave. I loved my boss and I love corporate America. But someone kept putting a bug in my ear about this opportunity with this small up and coming company.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I'm like, I don't know what I don't know. So off I went. And 2 interviews. They offered me the position. They doubled my base salary plus commissions, and they gave me a director title. I could just see the potential, right? 6 weeks into this job, I'm on vacation. I negotiated that in my contract. We'd already paid for it. And if you haven't been to the world's largest hot air balloon festival in Albuquerque, New Mexico, it's a bucket list. So that's where we were. And I was doing what I thought at the time, this was 11 years ago, I was doing what I thought at the time was the right thing to do.
Okay.
I was staying in touch with my boss, the CEO, while I was on vacation. Right? I'm thinking I'm new to my job. I've only been here 5 weeks, and I stayed in touch. So I get this email from the CEO, and he asked my opinion on something. So I replied back. And I waited and I looked and I waited, because he usually replies right back, and he didn't. So we went, enjoyed our day. We came in from dinner and drinks, and ding, there goes my phone. Carol Boston, you've got mail. And here's what it said. I'll never forget it. It said, Carol, comma, that's what you really think? And it had 5 question marks on it. Do not come into this office on Monday. When your vacation is over, you are done here.
Wow.
I looked at my girlfriend. I said, did I just get fired? In an email? She said, for an opinion you were asked for. And so I didn't advocate for myself. Florida is an at-will state. I've never been fired. And I thought, I guess I can get fired for anything. That guy didn't even come out of his office when I turned the laptop, right? And so I tell people, one of the things that's really important to me in raising up women leaders is to help them know their value, own their power, and advocate for themselves. So they rise up and become the lioness leaders they were truly created to be. And many of them, I help multiply their income and their profits.
Wow, that is, and I'm glad you shared that story because so many women are like they're just like you, or they're so just like you, and they're like, oh, I'll be fine. And especially nowadays, anything is possible, anything.
Yes, it is.
And so to go through the our day to day life is now you have to open with the open eyes, but also too with the conscious mind. I believe
Mm,
in that so much that then also understand that possibility can happen, but know that possibility to happen still have something ready for you. And I even told you I had one of my friends who was retired. First 30 years didn't know what to do for the first couple of months, and I told as I was telling him, like, are you kidding me? Let me blah, 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 blah. I mean, you guys, I was just, and she's just like, girl, you still talking? I go, I know. What am I telling you?
girl, I can find you something to do, right?
Oh, come on. But again, though, the she shift is all about when you shift for you and not shift for anybody else. So we so dependent on, codependent on somebody else, and we lean on them, and then we forget about us. And I also think that's where we get lost in the sauce. That's just me. Look, I can get on my soapbox for that. You get lost in the sauce for everybody else. Then when it comes time for you, you're like she did. She didn't even know what to do. So, anyways, Miss Carol, look, I could go on for that, but really
Well,
fast.
wait. We don't have to finish that topic. Let's talk about that a little bit because the challenge and what happens in that is that I find so many women. As a matter of fact, I've asked hundreds. I'll be honest, hundreds, and only one person gave me a different answer from everybody else. And the question was, I'm curious. Do you more often keep your word to yourself or to somebody else? What do you think they said?
Say
They
the
said,
say the
I said,
question.
I said, do you more often keep your word to yourself or do you keep your word to other people better?
If I said to keep it to themselves,
Mm-mm, no way.
really,
99, that's the challenge. 99% will keep their word to somebody else first.
not to themselves, not to themselves. So
And they
there's
don't understand that it erodes self-trust, which is why the very women you're talking about are not stepping out because they don't trust themselves. How many times have they said yes when they meant no?
that's true.
And
That
and when you don't know your no, your yes actually has less power.
that is true. That is true. But how do you shift to that? I mean, how do we shift our mindset? And I can't. I know we can't fix this. Let me first say, I know we cannot fix this in this one episode. So let me be clear, because someone will be like, Pam, you said no. Let me be clear. We can't. So, but again, but this is all about doing baby steps, right? So how do we even start shifting our mind to this, to that dynamic?
The first thing is about awareness. Self-awareness is number one. Personal leadership is paramount in anything that you're doing, whether it's in a company, on your own business, being a leader in your family, being a leader in your church, being a leader in your community. Personal awareness is key. And
Mm,
that's why in a little bit we're going to talk about bank because it makes you very, very aware of how you're showing up to every conversation. And right now, what you don't know is that you're showing up to every conversation in your code and you don't know how to speak the other three codes.
true.
Have you ever had a conversation, come on, where you said, man, you just met somebody and you thought, I feel like I've known that person my whole life. You had the same code. But you've also had conversations where you walked away and said, what the hell just happened?
No, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
Total opposite code.
Oh, so then
Bank is such a powerful tool.
so bank will allow us, it'll strengthen us to recognize that, so then we can change or connect to those dynamics of the conversation or with individuals.
You don't change who you are. You remain authentic to who you are. So the example I gave you earlier, right, before
Yes.
we got on, is if y'all look at my last code on my name, my code is BKNA. And just so you know, B stands for blueprint, A stands for action, N stands for nurturer, and K stands for knowledge. And they are all very, very different,
Mm,
right? So
yeah.
my A happens to be low. Ideally, the goal is to have all of your codes as close to 25 as possible so that you weave in and out of codes very, very easily. right?
Okay. Yes.
And so besides having my own clients and speaking engagements, I'm a business coach inside of somebody else's high-end mastermind. But nobody gets to get on a call without first cracking their code. So I get on the call recently with this young lady. Now look at my last code. It's A. Her first code was A.
Okay.
So we said hello. We built a little rapport. And then I went, and we're going to have fun today. She almost came unglued. She goes, oh my God, that's why I'm here. I'm here to have fun. Folks,
Because
that is so out of my character. I wasn't inauthentic. I was authentically speaking her code.
gotcha. That makes sense.
Right?
Okay.
I
Right.
didn't change who I was. I was adaptable to speak her code. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
And just so you know, A's love to have fun. A's blew up the box. They say, what box? We don't have any rules. They're always late because the party doesn't start till we get there. A's love surprise parties. Most A's. Now remember, you're not 100% of all of these, but
Right.
you have all four coded in your DNA. There's 24 possible combinations. And what's important is you know the whole combination because then you also know what's their stress code.
True.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So you'll know when, as a matter of fact, we had a training yesterday. I learn stuff all the time. And I asked the mentor, what's the difference in being in your stress code or being in the dark side of your code? Fascinating. We don't have time to go there tonight, but just know there's a difference. Okay. So we all have our dominant code. There's a dark side to our code. For example, nurturers, when they're in their dark side, they become very needy and they can become very nasty.
Wow.
The A's in their dark side, they become very arrogant and they can literally become assholes.
Okay.
When they're in the dark side of their code.
Okay.
Right. The blueprints, they become bitchy. Right.
Yes.
So we all have dark sides to our codes, but then being in your stress code is different. So an example for me, I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
Should I tell just a little bit about what bank is first?
Yes. I was going to say, go ahead first, explain what it is.
So bank is a system invented. It's code breaker technologies. The founder is Sherry Tree. 25 years ago, she was in the financial industry, totally broke, chasing this guy who had a lot of money. And he finally said, I'm ready to give you all my money to invest. Let's meet, bring the contracts. So she went to meet him for lunch in Los Angeles. She got there 10 minutes late. And she goes in and he stands up and shakes her hand. She shakes his hand. And they sit down and they chat for a minute. And she reaches over into her portfolio to pull out the contracts. He goes, oh, no. There's no reason for you to pull out those contracts. She goes, what? He said, you were 10 minutes late. Mm-hmm. If that's how you treat me when you don't have my money, I can only imagine how you're going to treat me when you do. And that started her on this quest. She was blown away. Now, mind you, at this time, and she tells the story much better than I do because she has a lot of emotion in the story.
Right.
She was living in a storage unit.
In a storage unit?
In a storage unit. She had her stuff on the bottom. There was this little shelf at the top that she climbed up to sleep. she couldn't even sit up in there because she just could barely get in there to sleep. She had gone and gotten one of those bucket things. It's got a bag in it. That was her toilet. Every day she's having to schlep that bag out to go find a garbage can. She did this for 18 months. And she got on a question. She told God, if you'll just show me how I can make more money, I promise you I'll share it with the world. And she initially went back to Hippocrates. How many of you know who Aristotle and Hippocrates are, right?
Right.
So Hippocrates treated his patients by putting them in 4 temperaments. So she studied those 4 temperaments and she reversed engineered it. Wow. So when you look at the other, I'm going to call them HR tests like DISC and Myers-Briggs and what color's my parachute, those are all based in psychology. Bank is based in biology, spelled BUYOLOGY, right? Mm-hmm. Because what she did is she opened up each one of these codes and looked at the internal operating system. Because she found, it's 1,000 times better to know why they buy than to study a new sales technique.
True. Yes.
And her history proves it. Her first year, she made like $700, broke. In Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. She studied every sales, invested every penny she had, every sales training technique in 5 years. $700 to $72,000 a year. And then she and God invented bank. And she invented it only for herself initially and only for business initially. And in 1 year, she went from 72,000 to $500,000. And then in 2 years, she went over $1 million, and now she's multi-millions. And at one point, she was working for another organization, and she trained her entire sales team in the area. She was like a regional manager. So she trained her entire sales team in bank, and she began to watch patterns, and she noticed the ones that were using it were closing more sales faster and easier and making more money than the ones who refused to adopt it. So once she had started doing some trainings, and one day this lady calls her and says, I wanted to thank you for saving my marriage. She says, what do you mean? She said, well, I heard and I studied and I learned my husband's code. We were on the verge of a divorce, and now I know how to speak his code, and we're doing so much better. Because here's the thing, opposites attract, and then they attack because they don't understand the code. Then one day she got a call from someone who said, thank you so much. That training helped me prevent a suicide. She's like, what? Folks, this is the most phenomenal communication tool I've ever seen. I've studied a lot of them. I'll be 66 next month. Not my first rodeo. And I'm the queen of reframe. So I teach and train on empowering questions, how to get what you really want. And one of the things empowering questions do is exactly what bank does. And it teaches you how to come from a place of curiosity and not judgment. And you begin to understand that it's not personal. It's personality. Right. It's personality. So I better stop, and I could go on. So you ask me another question.
No, because look, girl, I already flipped my paper right just to write. And look, I'm just so intrigued on my own self. Look, I'm sorry, you guys. You know how I am, y'all. So you know how many. So then there are women sitting at their desks right now, and they're like me. They're like, oh man, that sounds good. But then they also have that fear, right? They face that fear. How does this help them face the fear of holding them back?
First off, I'm going to tell you that we're only born with two fears.
Okay.
True story. We're born with the fear of falling.
Yes.
And we're born with the fear of loud noises. Everything else we have created in our minds. So when we look at fear and anxiety,
yes.
I work with a lot of people who are afraid to go do Facebook Lives and afraid to get on a stage to speak, right?
Yes.
And one of the first things I teach them, if you look at the biological, what goes on in the body, is that fear and excitement release the exact same endorphins in the body.
Okay.
So you get to reframe it as opposed to, I'm afraid to, I am so excited. I'm so excited. How many of you know who Mel Robbins? You know Mel Robbins, right?
Yes.
#1 podcast in the world. Wrote the book 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She will tell you she still gets anxiety sometimes before going on stage.
True.
And she tells herself, same endorphins. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm excited. And then she does what? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and runs on the stage in excitement. Right?
Yes.
So the first step to changing the mindset is to be aware that it's a mindset. That's the first step. The second step is willingness. Are you willing to change? Because here's what I find. So many people are willing to stay in something that's uncomfortable because it's familiar.
But is that age related though, or no? Or do you know?
I don't know. Okay. Do I see more of it in older people? I do. And perhaps that's because we've lived longer and we've chosen to become afraid of more things. We get to own that we're choosing, right? Clarity gives us, specificity gives us clarity. Clarity gives us power.
True.
So when we're clear that we're choosing, let me tell you, I had a gentleman who, he was a client of mine back in 2018, 19. Good looking, strapping black Haitian man. So one of the reasons he hired me, because he thought his accent was so heavy, nobody would understand him. And we worked on 3 streams of income on top of his business for him. So he was afraid to get up and speak. So I was going to be a speaker at the Women's Executive Club of Fort Lauderdale. And I said, his name was Reggie Mignon. He doesn't mind me saying, because otherwise I wouldn't say the name of a client. I have his permission. And his name is Reggie Mignon. I said, I'm going to be speaking. I want you to come to this luncheon. He said, okay. And I said, and when it's time for you to introduce yourself when we do the networking, I want you to stand up and I want you to say this. And I gave him a spiel about what he does in his business. Said,
Yes.
and then I want you to pause and I want you to look around the room and I want you to go, and my name is Reggie Filet Mignon. I said, will you do that? And he said, I trust you. Yes, I'll do that.
Yes.
So he got up and he did it. And the luncheon was over. And because I was one of the sponsors of the luncheon, I ate after the luncheon was over. And me and the other sponsor, Rebecca, were sitting there. And she had this scowl on her face. Pamela, she goes, who is that guy calling himself Reggie Filet Mignon? Now, she didn't know he was my client, and I didn't tell her.
Right.
What I did say to her was, I said, I got a question for you. I'm curious. She said, what? There were 70 people in the room.
Yes.
I said, how many other people that you didn't know their name before they walked in the door do you remember right now?
Mm.
Reggie. That was it.
Yeah.
So are you willing? And the thing I find the biggest challenge in answering your question is often people say, oh, if I step out, people are going to judge me. If they do Facebook Lives, they're going to say I'm not good enough. They're going to listen. They're not saying that. That's what you're saying about you.
That's true.
Other people's judgments and opinions of you are none of your business because they're not about you. They're about them. Think of this. I'm going to give you a story.
Okay.
I want you to picture you're standing in a hallway.
Yes.
And you're holding a cup and it's got coffee in it. Hallway gets really busy. And somehow you get jostled or whatever. And the next thing you know, you spill coffee out of the cup. So I want you to tell me why coffee spilled out of the cup.
Because I was comfortable or nervous. It depends.
Coffee spilled out of the cup because coffee was in the cup. If there had been tea in the cup, tea would have spilled. If there had been milk in the cup, milk would have spilled. So whatever spills out of you is already in you.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
Let's go back 35 years ago. I was in therapy. And I was really bugged about these two women at work. One of them was literally obese, right?
Yes.
And the other one was skinny as a rail, best friends, skinny as a rail. And I would get mad at the skinny as a rail girl because she would bring in 2 pizzas and give this other girl a pizza. And I'm thinking, you're not helping her at all. Like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
I had all this judgment coming up. So I go to therapy and I'm talking to my therapist about it because it's bugging me. And she looks at me, she says, Carol, so what is it about your body you don't like right now?
Ooh.
It was never about them.
It was all
It was
about
about me. And that judgment that was coming out of me was really about me judging me. And I find that women are their harshest critics.
I agree.
I find that it's very hard for me to get women. I eventually succeed, but it's hard for them. Pat yourself on the back.
I agree.
That would be boasting. No, it isn't. You did it. You have proof.
That's true. That is true.
Boasting is bragging on something you ain't done.
That's true. But I agree. It is hard to pat ourselves on the back. But then don't you feel that it's all driven? Look, but isn't that all driven because of society?
We're raised up that way. I was raised in the Deep South.
Me too.
You be quiet.
Yep.
Girls are to be seen and not heard. Don't make waves.
Yep.
Keep everybody else happy. Well, hello. What about my happiness?
Right. I agree. I totally agree with you.
I'll tell you a story that'll maybe make sense to people. So when I teach and train on empowering questions, which would be more than one episode, one of the things I teach, number one, they're crafted in a specific way.
Yes.
Number two, the first thing I would teach you, if you remember nothing else tonight, is that an empowering question never, ever, ever, ever starts with the word why. Why is not going to get you the answer that you want. Why brings up defensiveness, which brings in the ego, which brings in emotions. And when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. So there I was in 7th grade. I had my report card. I got 5 A's and a B. I couldn't wait for my daddy to come home. So my daddy comes home and I give him my report card and he looks at my report card. And I told you I'm from the Deep South, right? He looks down his nose at me and he says, now, Carol, why'd you get a B? I just told you what I was going to do, right? I got defensive. I said, but Dad, I got 5 A's. He looked at me and he said, that is not what I asked you. Why'd you get a B? So then I used my older brother as my defense. I go, David got 2 C's and a D. I thought I was in the clear, right? What my dad said to me impacted me for decades. He said, young lady, we expect a lot more out of you. Now, how I heard that as a child and the story I created around that unconsciously is that I had to be perfect to earn love. It took me decades to unlearn that. I would overgive, overdeliver in relationships, not have boundaries because why? I got to earn love. I got to be perfect. I got to be perfect to earn love. I got to get all A's. I tried to earn that in corporate America. I almost destroyed my health twice.
Wow.
Twice.
Wow.
Until I was able to reframe that. But I want you to think about this. If my dad had asked me an empowering question, such as, Carol, what one thing could you do next semester to improve upon that grade? Girl, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now. My life would be completely different.
Wow.
When you empower somebody with a question like that and they get to come up with the answer, they're far more likely to go do it.
Yes, that is true. Because you give them the power to me, and that makes me feel like I'm important, and that what I say matters. So that
absolutely.
That's the thing.
And when you say, why'd you do that? People are what? They feel shamed. They're immediately made wrong. So they got to defend their position. As a matter of fact, I've been pondering putting together a course for women. And the 4 pillars of the course are going to be, you have nothing to prove, nothing to hide, nothing to defend, and nothing to protect.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
But it's true.
It is true. It is true. Because we're always defending. I mean, we're doing all of them. All the pillars that you say, we do them. Even if we're not consciously doing it, saying we're still doing it. Very, very so true. It's right on the mark.
And part of that's because why? We get up, we think we got to get up and put on our armor every day to go into work.
That's true. That is true.
Here's something fascinating. When I was pondering this, I popped into this group one day, never been in this group. It was something online.
Yes.
And this particular day was about getting feedback. So there were 6 women in there, including me. They all 5 had been there before. I was the newbie.
Okay.
And the leader says, who wants feedback on blah, blah, blah? And nobody said anything. I said, well, I do. That's why I came here.
Right.
And I said, I'm thinking about putting together this course, and I'm going to call it Armorless Leadership. And I said, the 4 pillars are going to be, you have nothing to hide, nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to protect. And I would like feedback. One of the 5 women was from corporate America. And she said, if you're going to sell that to corporate America, that title is perfect. The other 5 ladies said, that wouldn't even stop my scroll. They're entrepreneurs. They said, I wouldn't even stop my scroll for that. But let me tell you what, those pillars, I want that course. Think of another title. They told me if you'd call it Naked Leadership, I'd stop my scroll. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's what it is.
Not so much. Not so much. Well, Carol, but it's true. But here's the thing. I love this bank, and I think we all should do it. Just do it just to even see what is your code that's in your DNA.
I'm happy to send you a link.
Okay. If you could.
You can provide it to anybody.
Okay.
And here's how it works. It's going to say, crack my code. You're going to go in. It'll take you less than 90 seconds. Guaranteed. Less than 90 seconds.
Okay.
And then it's going to ask you for your name and email and phone number. And then you're going to get a report.
Okay.
Now, I want you to make sure you look in your spam, because I'm getting a lot of people saying, I don't have the report. And I say, look in your spam. It's going to come from Codebreaker Technologies. It's not going to come from Bank. Bank is the system, the company's Codebreaker Technologies.
Okay.
And it's going to be a full personality report, and you're going to learn exactly how you show up to every conversation.
I'm going to do it today. As soon as you send it.
And then I'll hop on a 15-minute call with anybody and explain to you how you're showing up and what you could do to show up differently.
Okay.
Speak to the other codes.
Okay. That's cool. Look, I'm going to do it for me. Look, all about me. I'm definitely going to do it. I think, but as you know, I don't know if you know, I love to know more about me and how I can be that better of a person and how I can help serve others. And if I don't know, I won't know. And I want to know. I want to know.
Let me tell you, Bank has been proven to help businesses grow their sales by 300%.
Ooh.
We have a real estate white paper. I'm actually targeting real estate agents right now with a free masterclass.
Uh-huh.
The white paper proves that they can increase their listings up to 125% and increase their sales up to 300%. So there's a gentleman on my team. He's out of South Carolina. His name is Joe. Won't give you his last name because I didn't ask permission. And he was very resistant to learning bank. His wife was all in. She invested at the highest level 5 trainer. This is the bomb. And he was hesitant. So one day he's getting ready to leave to go try to get a listing.
Okay.
And his wife was sitting there and her mentor in bank was sitting there and they had the cards. They said, Joe, you either take the cards and crack the code or don't come back home. So he took the cards. He knew the script. It's very easy, right? Because simple is doable. And he cracked the code and he was stunned.
Really?
At the conversation he had with these people. And he came back. He says, okay, I'm in. And he studied bank for a year, dedicated. And he will tell you, he went from a 38% close ratio. He'd been in real estate for 20, 30 years.
Yes.
He went from a 38% close ratio to an 86% close ratio in 1 year. And he did it in less time. And that's part of the magic, right? Because time is money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
People are looking for more time.
Absolutely. So bank can work on anybody, everyone.
Absolutely. Everybody has a code. She just launched her second book and it's called Make People Matter. That's what she's out for. Let's crack 8 billion codes. Because if everybody knew their code and knew how to speak to all these wars, they wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. We wouldn't be where we are now. That's what I'm saying. This is so essential. So Miss Carol's going to give me this. So y'all, now I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to be the testimony first, because this is what I want everyone to know. I don't believe in doing something and not doing it. So I am going to do it today. Once she passed me along, I will let y'all know that I did do it. And then I am going to charge all of you who is listening, watching, but either and or both to do it.
And I'll give you a free 15-minute call. You know, it'd be fascinating.
What's that?
Because you and I just met tonight.
Yeah. We literally did, you guys. Literally.
We met 10 minutes before.
Yep.
What would be fascinating is for us to have no more conversation. You crack their code and you bring me back on, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I know about you from your code.
Oh, let's do that. Okay. This is going to be nifty. Well, Miss Carol, as we got the code, as we're going to give the code, but
Yes.
Again, say if anybody wanted to just literally, like, I'm fascinated. I could talk to you all day. This is just, I love this. If someone is out there and like, I want to talk to Miss Carol, how can I do that? How can I get in touch with you?
Oh my gosh. My email is Carol, CAROL, at carolboston.com. It's very simple. Carol at carolboston.com.
Okay. My
LinkedIn, Facebook. I don't do much on Instagram. I have a page there. It's the @ at THE at the Carol Boston. Ping me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn and Facebook are my main 2 platforms. And my Facebook is mainly on my personal page. I can send you the link for that because the @ is for the business page.
Okay. Okay.
Love to chat with you. Love to help you. You get a $99 report for free. Let me tell you something. I had one of my clients the other day. She said, Carol, oh my God, how can I help what can I do? My husband's driving me crazy. He will not put down the toilet lid 2 friggin' years. Right. And I said, I said, what are you saying to him? She goes, well, I asked him why. Why? That's the first problem, right?
Why?
So I crafted her an empowering question. I said, you got to ask him verbatim, just like this. Will you do that? She said, yes. So here's the question I gave her. Next morning, what do you think he did? No. So she goes in there and I said, just kind of cock your head to the side and say, I'm just curious, honey. What one thing, because they're specific, could I do for you today because they're time bound? It would help you to remember to put the seat down for me. What one thing?
He did.
He ponders and he's thinking about it. And well, I tell you what, you get one of those sticky notes and I want you to put it on eye level. That'll help me. That also tells you a lot about his code if you knew his code. And guess what? They haven't had another argument about the toilet.
Wow.
She knew how to ask the question to get the answer that she wanted.
Got it.
I had one of my clients say, could you please put together a course for parents? And I said, on what? She said, I keep telling my husband, stop asking the kids why. She goes, and then he does it, and then I do it, and it's a mess. And she said, but Carol, My kids ask me why all the time. I said, of course they do. They're the perfect example that why doesn't get you the answer that they want. They don't know how to articulate the question to get the answer they want, so they just keep asking why.
True.
They're the perfect example.
But if you teach them how to reframe the question as what you're going to teach them, instead of using why, using what, and that give it the time, they would get it. Oh, okay. Look, I'm getting it now. I'm getting it now. Now my mind's like.
Empowering questions start with who, what, how, and sometimes where. Never why.
Never why.
And they're not just about asking questions of other people. You get to ask questions of yourself. Like one of the ones when I gave a speaking engagement today to these leaders, I said, here's one for you. You could keep this in front of you every day. How would the leader I want to become do the thing I'm about to do today? How many of you out there scrolling on Facebook, watching Netflix in the middle of a business day? But if you had that in front of you and you knew that wasn't who you wanted to become, and you had that reminder, you could choose to do something different.
That's true.
You could ask yourself, who am I being? I speak on be, do, have leadership. It's powerful. People think, come on, in America, what do people say? How much can I have and what do I got to do to get? No, it's who do I get to be in order to do what I get to do so I can have what I say I want. Because when your doing doesn't support your being, and your being is based on your values. Right. So if these three things are my top three values, but my behavior is this, I'm not going to have everything I want because I'm out of alignment.
That's true. That is true. I'm learning that. I'm learning that now. And guess what? It's like I'm struggling. Like it's like I'm fighting. I feel like I'm having three people in my one body. Like this, and like I'm like, okay, hold on. We have got to stop. And I agree. And I think that this bank, like I said, that's going to help me crack my code, so I at least know who I am and to work on that. So I really like that. But Miss Carol, at this point of the show, I'm always doing some rapid fire questions. Are you up for it?
Girl, you can ask me anything. I bet you figured that out by now.
Cool. So let me ask you this. First of all, are you coffee, tea, or something else kind of person?
Coffee.
Any particular kind of coffee?
I love the Fresh Market pumpkin spice.
Ooh.
And I love Barney's traditional Christmas.
Okay.
But if I'm just going to have a plain old coffee.
Yes.
Dunkin' Donuts. Black, no cream.
Okay. So let me ask you this. My next one is, what is your go-to quote?
Recently, it's been Nelson Mandela said that when you speak to someone in a language that they understand, they hear you with their head. But when you speak to them in their language, they hear you with your heart. And that's exactly what we teach you to do with Bank.
That's powerful. I can literally see that. What is one book that you read that you would like to recommend to everyone?
Sitting right here. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm reading it for the fourth time.
Fourth time. Okay.
It's powerful. The first time I picked this book up to read it.
Yes.
I had to put it down. I mean, it was like my skin was crawling. I'm serious. My skin was crawling. I was so uncomfortable that I put the book down for months.
Really?
And then I decided I was ready to pick it up. And now I'm reading it for the fourth time. Every time you read it, you're in a different place in your life. And it's The Last Arrow by Erwin Raphael McManus.
Okay.
Leaving nothing for the next life.
Ooh. So it's really that powerful.
It's powerful. He actually happens to be a pastor. He's famous for his book, The Barbarian Way.
Okay.
Barbarian Way.
I've heard of The Barbarian Way.
But just to talk a little bit about how he opens the book, which really struck me. And it actually ties into what you're talking about with these women. So he opens the book with a story from the Bible, and it's the king and his top man. And it's Elijah and Elisha.
Okay.
Elijah is the one that's he's got all the power. He's keeping everybody safe, wins all the wars. And he's getting old, though. His health is not good. And he's in the tower with Elisha. And they're talking, and he tells Elisha, take the arrow and put it in your bow and open up the east window and shoot the arrow through the window. So Elisha does.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, take the rest of your arrows and strike them on the ground. So he takes the arrows out of the quiver and he strikes them on the ground 3 times and he quits. And Elisha is furious. Why did you quit? Now you're only going to beat the other army 3 times. What are you saving the other arrows for? You want to leave this earth with your heart full and your quiver empty.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes we're holding on so tightly to what we think is ours that our hands aren't open to receive all that God and the universe have to give us.
Ooh, that's true. I like that. That's
and it's a powerful opening to the book.
I'm going to look. I have 2 things on my homework assignment from you already.
I didn't know I was dishing out homework.
I have 2 homework assignments. So thank you. This is empowering to me. So I do thank you. My last question to you is, what is your what's next?
My what's next, I'm a paid keynote speaker, right? I get paid. I go in, I teach, I train, I walk off the stage. But I've never really spoken from the stage to sell. So right now I'm in a high-end program with a phenomenal expert that I have followed for 10 years, who knows how to close 80 to 90% of the room from the stage. She's amazing. So the goal is to speak to sell so that I can get more people into bank and change more lives.
All right, you guys, that was powerful. I hope you guys look. I got no front page. Look, I know y'all heard the paper folding. I didn't hit the T. It was the pen that hit the screen. That was me. I'm trying to write as she's talking. I have everything written down, but I'm hoping everyone has grabbed the nuggets. Miss Carol, before we go, I always let all of you amazing women close this show down. What would be the last thing you'd like to leave everybody with?
That I believe that God only gave us a lamplight for our feet because our job is to trust the process and just take the next step.
Thank you. That's all there is to say. I'm going to put you in the green room, close the show down, and I'll be back with you.
All righty. Blessings, everybody.
Yes. Oh my goodness, y'all. That was so powerful. I hope it was as powerful as it was for you. I will be giving you all, I'm going to do the code today. I'm going to do it today first. So I can tell you that I did do it. But I think it's so important for us to empower ourselves. And Miss Carol even talked about the power of, not the power of why, but the power of what. She never used why, excuse me. So I hope that this has allowed you to know that your what's next is right around the corner. And if you don't know, Miss Carol's bank program can help you. Be on the lookout, follow the show so you can get the code on how to do this test. And then note that, did you catch her? She said she's even willing to sit down with you for 15 minutes to talk about the code so you can get what you want. That's powerful. Well, you guys, I'm not even saying anything more. Miss Carol was remarkable. I found this empowering and enlightening, and I hope it has inspired you to go after your what's next. And don't allow the cubicle to stop you, because y'all, we only got one life to live. Miss Carol even talked about it. So live it to your fullest, not to anybody else. And know that your shift is is right there in front of you. So you guys go after what your what's next is. Take care of yourself and know I'm here for you. If you have any questions, go ahead. You can text them to me at 614-674-0074. If you want to talk to Miss Carol, it's cool. Just put in the subject line, Carol, and I will get it to her. But note that this shift is for you and it's there. And don't let no one stop you. Until then, everyone, take care of yourself and start your shift now. Bye, everybody.